Hey everybody, we're gonna start this one a little quiet and then we're gonna get louder over time because we got a sleeping baby here. You can't talk with a sleeping baby because she doesn't know your voice. I can talk, she knows my voice, she finds it comforting. But you don't want to start with like, insanely loud or you're gonna get some oogoos and some gagas. 4GWSY 8KP. Having quite a binge-worthy Isaac day. Usually you binge watch. I'm binge creating here, and I know we've got some conversational momentum. I mean, I did spend 20 minutes on that elevator problem in the last episode. I apologize, but I know we've got some conversational momentum because I didn't even mention the fact that the new Marvel property WandaVision came out. Didn't even discuss my thoughts on that for the first 65 minutes of the episode. How about that? How do I feel about WandaVision so far? It's super weird. Like, in a way that people are going to be like, it's not that brave. No, I agree. It's not like, the movie makes a bold, like, political stand or something like that. At least not yet through the first 2 episodes. But it's like, it's such a weird idea and execution for a show that I'm enjoying it like decently, but more than anything else I actually just like really respect it. If that makes sense. I get like, green text arrow, respecting Marvel's Disney hegemony, etc., etc. But like, it's like they took like an idea that Reddit would have suggested and kind of ran with it. Respecting Reddit, implying, says he likes media, watches. Okay, now that we've gotten all that out of the way, because if you're not familiar, basically it's Scarlet Witch and Vision, but and this is not there's no spoilers at all. Because again, this is just the concept of the show, but somehow they have become, let's not say trapped, but they're in like a constructed like world that is an idealized version of like 1950s, 1970s, etc. sitcoms. Like the first couple episodes are like Leave It to Beaver, and it seems like maybe they're going for like a Bewitched or sort of take after that, but it's just very weird, It's like the first 2 episodes are basically just kind of like a sitcom, and then occasionally it gets like a little sinister, and they give you little teases like, hey, something's not quite right, something's not quite right. It's very neat. Like, honestly, I think I respect it right now more than I actually enjoy it. Like, for sure, there's an element of me that's like, all right, I get the joke now, but when are you going to use your mind powers to, like, crush someone's thorax? But I'm interested to see where it goes. It's definitely is super weird, which I think is very cool and kind of a much-needed shakeup. And I'm hoping that that's kind of what, like, a, Disney Plus can sort of become, is something that, obviously stuff like The Mandalorian is not small. And I'm sure the upcoming, like, Bucky and the Winter Soldier or whatever, or the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, whatever the heck the show's going to be called, is going to be much more of a traditional kind of like Marvel thing. But, you take advantage of the leverage you get from digital distribution to take some risks. And this is definitely, it's not risky because it's going to, nobody's watching anything else right now. Unless they haven't finished The Queen's Gambit, but it's compelling in its own weird way. Right now, it's a one-of-a-kind thing, that's for sure. So I'm like cautiously optimistic, but definitely kind of respect the weirdness of it so far. That's where I'm at with that. And I gotta say, there's something for the fact that, there's very little, like, new programming to watch on a regular basis right now. It kind of benefits, not to say that it's a good thing, obviously, but it kind of benefits from that. I wonder if we can get both of these here. This is good value. Oh, it's great value. Like, I will say, I've talked about this before. I feel like Netflix has lost a lot of its value. It's not even so much like Netflix's fault. I'm not really concerned with like assigning blame so much as just observing, you know, the kind of sign of the times. This is such an amazing item for us. This is pretty much already a one run, to be honest with you. But, you know, as more and more companies, obviously, and networks in particular, obviously noticed that, you know, Netflix was disproportionately benefiting from having their media properties on the service, they were like, hey, we're going to start our own service. And the result has been a landscape that is obviously substantially worse for the consumer, but, you know, I think it also goes without saying that it's harmed Netflix, you know, in terms of, like, its, if not its bottom line, at least like, its actual user experience. Like, Netflix isn't even, like, my go-to, you know, first app to open when it comes to looking for something to be entertained anymore. It's like, for every show that's like, you know, a few times a year, they have something that's like, oh, it's like the Queen's Gambit, you know? You know, they had Haunting of Hill House. I haven't seen Bly Manor yet, because it kind of seemed like most people thought it was a decent chunk worse. Plus, it came out like right around the baby time. You know, Queen's Gambit obviously did huge numbers this year, and you know they had the movie. I can't remember the Charlize Theron movie. I forget what it's called. The Old Ones, is that The Old Guard? I think it's called The Old Guard. And then they had Tiger King last year. So, like, you know, a few times a year, I'm not going to deny that they, you know, take control of the media conversation. But for, like, every show that hits some kind of, like, critical mass like that, or is, like, insanely great, seems like you get, like literally 50 shows that are like, here's a history of cheese, and I'm like I'm not against it, don't get me wrong, it's kind of like an interesting documentary, but like how many documentaries about cheese and minimalism and, like, you know, falcons and stuff like that, like that's not really like what I signed up for, you know. So it's not even like might as well check, right? It's not even my go-to, I would say, for entertainment anymore. There's something to be said for having, like, way less. Oh, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna pause. All right, I'm back. But yeah, what I was gonna say is, like, I think there's something to be said about, like, a smaller. I get that you can't guarantee the quality of like a Netflix original, for example. Let's go. You probably, I mean, you can have an idea. You're like, hey, this show with, like, a talented director probably has a chance to take off. And this show that's like The Hunger Games but set in Brazil, maybe it's a little bit more of a long shot. Anything could happen, no? You kind of got to play the numbers game to some extent, I suppose. It's like Isaac. I don't know when I start the episode whether it's going to be a good one or not. It's only once we start to make things happen you can kind of be like, now I get it. I think there's something to be said for, like, a smaller quantity, but a much, much more consistent quality. Like, I feel like that's where Netflix can be beaten right now. Like, I feel like Netflix, I previously described this as, like, Netflix is like the new releases section at Blockbuster, and then the Amazon Prime series, I hate to say it because I do, you know, rely on Jeffrey Bezos for a large chunk of my yearly salary, but you know, the Amazon Prime Video, it has some great stuff like The Expanse, for example, and The Boys, which obviously was like really popular this year, but it was more of like the Walmart bargain bin for a while at least. But now I actually feel like Netflix is like the Walmart bargain bin, and then Amazon Prime, I don't even really like know. It's done really well this year, don't get me wrong, but you know, the average quality of something on Amazon Prime is worse. Not because it's on Amazon Prime, but I think because, like, as they've picked up stuff, you know, Netflix kind of had right of first refusal for a lot of the AAA content, I guess. But that's just my hunch. A game hunch. See you next time. But I was watching, I'm not afraid to admit it, I was watching 90 Day Fiancé a little bit with the baby. The baby's not supposed to watch TV, but she just kind of like faces the other direction and goes like, "Agoo," and I go, "Yeah, baby, agoo." And I'm assuming that she's going, "These guys are never gonna work." And I'm like, "You know it, sister." But I was watching 90 Day Fiancé, and you may be aware of this. You may have heard me mention it. TLC is trying to push 90 Day as if it's like the new Avengers, because it is like unbelievably popular. People seem to be under the impression that I'm the only idiot that watches this show. I assure you there's hundreds of millions, maybe tens of millions of other idiots out there watching it. Myself included, now and then. But they're advertising Discovery Plus, which is their new like Netflix-style app. The company that owns TLC, which makes 90 Day Fiancé, also owns the Food Network, the Discovery Channel, I think like the National Geographic Channel or Animal Planet, I don't know, like they own a lot of TV networks, right? They advertise the service in what, and this is just for me personally, is one of the worst ways possible, but maybe if you're into this sort of stuff, you know, you're more into it. But they advertise it as every year it's gonna have 200 plus original shows. For me, that's just, of course you want as much great content as possible. You know, you think like, oh man, if they could make like 200 Queen's Gambits a year, that would be nuts, right? Then you remember that they're like the food channel, which is fine, but you know, I would expect that you're gonna see a lot of like Giada De Laurentiis at home, The Barefoot Contessa, 17 different, you know, Guy Fieri cooking shows, and you know, it's fine, but it's just not the kind of content that I'm really interested in. If that makes sense. It's not that I'm not into cooking shows, you know, I waffle back and forth, being into them or out of them, but you know, I don't need 200 episodes of I don't need Guys Grocery Games Miami, Guys Grocery Games San Francisco. You know, just one series of Guys Grocery Games. That's okay by me. Maybe I'm the fool. Why are we only taking damage sometimes? Have you noticed that? I'm looking at our items. I feel like our items should not protect us from taking damage. That's such a... We've gotten that twice in a row, dude. That's so good. I don't know, man. I just know the sound it makes when it takes a man's life. This one is pretty much in the books. But yeah, let me just level with you. I'm kind of like... I'm not trying to stan Disney, okay? But I'm kind of like Disney Plus right now. Started slow in the first year, but right now it's almost like making me nostalgic for those Netflix days. Like it reminds me of those earlier Netflix days, where like once a month there would be some, like a lot of the time there's some dead air. Don't get me wrong, but then once a month there would be something that like everybody's watching and talking about. Like The Mandalorian season 2 got people pretty excited, and then you know WandaVision is gonna keep some of that going for a bit, and it's kind of, I'm not saying like you should subscribe to the service. I'm merely suggesting that you know it's kind of doing a decent job of winning over the the streaming wars for me right now. Who would have thought a company with so many disproportionately huge advantages with respect to its competition would be able to outcompete them? Who would have thought? Anyway. Go get him. This guy said he enjoys a Disney product. I do. I don't. The company I don't know. But I'm not going to watch Nicolas Cage, A History of Swear Words instead of The Mandalorian just to prove a point, you know? I don't stand for this, you know, nearly $1 trillion corporation. Instead, I merely stand for a corporation worth several $100 billion. I wonder what Netflix is valued at right now. Disney's got, I'm gonna make a guess that Disney is valued at about $600 billion. Let's see. Disney market cap. Sorry, the fiber's a little slow today. Market cap $310 billion. I was way off, man. And then let's search Netflix market cap. 220, but really? Who would have thought that, you know, I mean, according to the marketplace of ideas, and of course we all know the stock market's never wrong about the value of anything. How could it be? Everybody's acting rationally. That's why Tesla is valued more than every other auto manufacturer combined, despite selling like, 17 cars last year. Yo, but 17 like cool cars. When the CEO posts a lot of memes, dude. Posts a lot of memes. Anyway, I'm not hating. The stock goes up. Yeah, we'll use this. Joker. Is bad? Is good, but not good enough. I think we're happier with Unicorn Stump, honestly. And you know what? Like, dude, okay, I'll kill you just because, it's easy enough to do so. But if you were hard to kill, I'd leave you alone. Let that be a lesson to you in some way. Who would have thought that Netflix is valued at only, or at like 2/3 of Disney's value? I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a huge company, right? Like Netflix has, I don't know, probably like, you know what? It's kind of interesting to think about. Like, I love making guesses on things. Like, how many active subscribers does, or like, monthly paying subscribers does Netflix have? I bet they have like, this is a stretch. I'm going to say they have 200 million active subscribers. How many active subscribers does Netflix have? This one is harder to get an answer to. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, am I stupid? 200 million is kind of a huge number. Like, a lot of people use Netflix, and they use Netflix in more than just the United States. But you just kind of start with the back of the napkin calculation. You're like, okay, there's like 350 million people in the U.S. Would I say that there's a Netflix subscription per person? Absolutely not, because, some people just, don't have Netflix, for one. Some people choose not to, and then some people are just older. They're into, like, they never got into the technology side. They're, like, into cable. But even more so, like, 1 for every 2 people is, like, probably the maximum you would ever get to, because people that are sharing a household. But then you start to factor in other countries, like, obviously Netflix is popular in Europe and Canada and Australia, based on the number of Australian realty shows that are not reality, but like, we're turning your sorry, we're turning your billabong into, I don't even know what a billabong is. I guess I should be careful. But also Netflix, insanely popular in South Korea, and also very popular in Japan, I think. And this is just like the parts of the world that I'm kind of like at least even 0.05% familiar with, like their consumption habits. So I don't know, like the other parts of the world I'm way less familiar with. I got no idea. But anyway, I don't know. 200 million still seems kind of high, but maybe I'm just taking a stab. This is an awesome assortment of items here. So I'm just gonna level with you. I think I didn't go to my item room on this floor. Let's just pretend. Can we enter into like a shared illusion here, or a shared delusion, I should say, that was just like a crappy range upgrade or something that we don't care about at all, and then we'll just move on with our lives, because this run is like very clearly completely comfortable as is. Does that sound okay? No? All right. Well then, that's what the little section below the video, if you scroll down, is for. Anyway, I'm not trying to like take a side. I'm just saying, as a consumer, I feel like my enjoyment of Netflix recently, let's say within the past 2 years, has been on a downward trend, and I understand the forces at work there. I don't think it's just Netflix dropping the ball. I think, inevitably, their original content was a big part of their success at a point, but also it was like, hey, they got The Office. And then as companies go like, wait a minute, Netflix is making like $300 million a year off of The Office. We sold it to them for like 75 cents an episode. They're going to lose some of that edge, but I guess what I would say right now, and you're going to hate it because it's like very hail corporate. I feel like Disney has done a better job with with their original programming over the very, very short time scale that I'm talking about here. I like, it's gonna make me seem like kind of enlightened, or unenlightened, I should say. But I just happen to like The Mandalorian Season 2 like a lot more than The Queen's Gambit. Now, if Disney could ever get like a Wild Wild Country sort of documentary, they would never do it because it would stoke even the mildest bit of controversy. But when it comes to documentaries about weird things, especially murders, I feel like Netflix is undefeated. I'm just saying, it's not as cut and dry as it used to be. But I still feel like, as bad as it is, like, as bad as the fact that, you know, there's not just one, you know, hegemonic streaming giant anymore, where you could, like, cancel your cable that was $100 a month, and then for, like, $12 a month, get 10 times the content at your fingertips. As bad as it is that there's not that anymore, as somebody with cable, I'm here to tell you that the current system still beats cable. It's not as good as it used to be, but cable is still really, really bad. I have it for sports, and to be honest, like, here's the thing with sports. You might say, why not just buy, like, NHL Center Ice or something like that? Because it's all screwed up, like, if like, Dan got it, or he got, like, the NBA version. It's probably called, like, Center Court or something like that, I imagine, but, so or Game Pass or whatever, but Dan bought it because he wants to watch Pistons games. But if you're geographically located within the area that a local broadcaster covers, and your local broadcaster has the rights to the NBA games, then you get blacked out. Like, you literally can't watch your local games unless you watch them on TV. So you could just get a VPN. Sure, yeah, you could just get a VPN. But if you're going to do it, like, you're kind of like breaking the law to begin with. If you're going to break the law, you know, are you really going to do it by getting, you know, the Game Pass and then also a VPN? Or are you just going to go to one of those websites that apparently allegedly exist, and they also have, like, a horrible chat next to them that's, you know, just like the worst elements of society just yelling at each other nonstop? I mean, if I wouldn't know for myself, but I've been told by people that have watched sports on illegal streaming websites that the chat is bad enough that it actually serves as, like, a sales pitch to buy the legitimate channel, so that you don't have to be exposed to that kind of, like, misanthropic jet fuel. Anyway. So yeah, it's like, I have it for sports. And for sports, it's fine. The sports come on. Although I will say it was very funny, like, the first game of the Canucks season, they had new announcers, because of the, it doesn't matter. They had new announcers for, like, a good reason, and it's not controversial. I'm just saying, like, you know, we don't need to get into the minutia, but now I should have gotten into the minutia. Okay, so they had new announcers because some of the local announcers are not traveling to games that are out of town because of COVID, you know? So, you know, normally your out-of-town announcers would go to wherever the arena is that is hosting the game, and they would record live there, and that's why they got all those broadcasting booths and stuff. But, you know, this time they weren't doing that, so we had new announcers that were actually local to the, you know, away market, and people were like, this is BS, I hate these new announcers. Can we just get John and John back, who is our announcers? So then for the next game, they had John and John, but they weren't local to the arena, so they had to, like, zoom in, like, not zoom, but, like, on the application known as Zoom. And of course, this led to there being, like, a, you know, 3 to 4 second delay between what was happening on the screen and what was actually happening in the commentary. So, like, you would see, like, the Oilers would score a goal on the Canucks, and you'd be like, did they score? Because nobody's going like, he scores! But everybody's celebrating, and then they're like, and you know, Connor McDavid, a beautiful movie, scores, and you're like, yeah, I know, okay, I know, I saw it. You're like, man, I'm paying, like, I mean, that channel's not super expensive, but, you know, you're paying, like, $6 a month or $8 a month for this, and you know, they've got the broadcasting rights to the biggest sports league in Canada, at least. and they can't even sync up the audio. Like, I'm not suggesting that they invent like a new kind of fiber optic cable to lower the latency, but can't you just delay the video feed that you send out by like the same rate that they're delayed by, so that we're getting the content 5 seconds late, but at least the audio's synced up? Like, this is like stuff the streamers do all the time, and like you know, I'm paying you $6 a month, and you can't figure it out. You got like a, you know, $700 million in quarterly revenue. So, like, I don't know, cable is just, it's wild, man. And that's sports. Like, if you want a sports channel, you get the sports channel, you're getting sports. God help you for, like, the 900 other channels. Like, you just go to your guide and then, like, hope that something you want is on. Also, kind of crazy. Like, cable has taken its audience for granted for too long. I'm saying it, baby. So, like, I get TLC. I'm embarrassed to admit this, but I'll admit it. We have to pay for it to get it, right? And I think we got it. Thankfully, they've at least stopped, like, exclusively bundling. By which I mean that you can actually, like, if you want one channel, some of the time now, they'll be like, okay, we'll sell you the one channel. But then they're like, well, if you like TLC, you must really want the E! Entertainment Network for only, like, another $3.50 a month. And you're like, no, please, stop. Don't. Okay, fine. But so you pay for the channel. It's like a third the cost for one channel of an entire Netflix subscription. You have to watch the TV show with ads, obviously. Like, if you're watching live, you can't fast forward the ads unless you got a freaking time machine. Neil deGrasse Tyson. But then they used to suck with video on demand. Like, only like a third of the shows would ever make it to their VOD service. Now, all the shows make it to the VOD service, but they still got ads, man. Like, I'm saying I support this business model with my money, but I don't feel good about it, and I really feel like you should not, if you have the option. Like, you're paying $4 for the channel, and they got ads, and the ads are unskippable. It's insane. Like, even if the show aired, I don't expect them to not have ads in a live broadcast. It would be awesome if that were the case. But even I run ads, so, you know, I'm not trying to be a hypocrite necessarily. You know what? I'm going to stick with the unicorn stump, but I will take the stats. I'll take the stats. Oh, no, baby. The baby's awake. Agoo. Agoo. Do you hear that? She said agoo. Agoo to you as well, baby. Hey. Hey, baby. Guess what? Agoo. Sorry, I've been looking at my baby instead of the blue fire there. Oh no, she's hungry. Baby, we only got 2 floors to go here, okay? If you could just so politely. Oh, she's like, no. But it's just, baby, it's just 2 floors. It's already been like a pretty fast run too. And I have unicorn stump and sack dagger, so I can really just press the spacebar and like run into enemies. Would you be so kind as to allow me to finish this run before you erupt into hunger tears? You know, I don't blame you. It's not like you got any control over it. You're hungry, you can't feed yourself. If I had to rely on another human being to feed me, I'd probably cry when I got a little hungry too. You know, I'm like, oh, I'm peckish. Give me some sun chips. Wah. I actually think we have a very polite baby. I don't think she cries until she feels like genuine hunger. I don't think she cries for sport. Some babies, I believe they, you know, not like, oh, they just want attention, but like some babies, I believe they, you know, they get a little hungry, they hit the panic button. Our baby, I think she understands. She's like, hey, they've never not fed me. I can just chill out for like a couple of minutes. It seems like he's doing something important. No, not really. Just getting roasted for being pro-Disney. Well, I'm not really pro-Disney. Or pro-cable. But I do give them money once a month. But, you know, and, dude, what am I supposed to do? Not watch The Mandalorian? Come on, man. No man is an island, you know? I'm not a stone. I've got needs. Okay, very good. I mean, obviously, this run has the slightest possibility of going wrong. It really does. But it is very, very low. We actually got very lucky that we have good orbital action, because, like, our stats are nothing to write home about. Obviously, with Samson, you know, the real meat of it is, like, you can use, you know, you can take damage to get more damage, but the way that we're set up here is very nice. Let's just leave it at that. And we should be totally fine. We got a really high luck stat. Like, nothing should go wrong here, but you never know. I think we could definitely take that. I kind of think, like, Pyro and Bomber Boy might actually work for us here, because we can, like, place down bombs in addition to our orbital action. Number 1's pretty good here. If you hear some weird noises, I assure you it's just the baby. She's kind of going wild right now. Honestly, I like our invincibility too much to not just blow that up. Oh, good. Oh, good. I hear you on that one. Oh, good. I'm getting a little Ogu myself. I still haven't figured out what I'm going to do for lunch today. Kind of depends on Mommy, right? Like, how's Mommy feeling? If she's feeling good, we might even... Oh, do you want to be a little bad and order some DoorDash? Maybe. Either that or I could just go eat a foot-long sandwich. I've been trying to watch my weight lately. Trying to watch it go up by eating a foot-long sandwich. Anyway, that's the joke, I suppose. It's just the whole joke right there. Anyway, how you doing, baby? You doing Ogu? You doing Ogu over there? Dude, she's eating her whole hand. It's very impressive. I know, you know, I've heard of people eating lady fingers, but lady hands. My God. I think we will take that. It might not even affect our speed. Okay, it affected our speed. I thought maybe we were, like, over the speed cap or something. I don't even know if that's, like, a thing that happens. I don't really know that much about... Like, the base level... You know, in Isaac, I think I'm very much like Nick Nolte's character from Tropic Thunder. I don't really know what anything does. I just know the sound it makes when it takes a man's life. Baby, you are going to town. Dude, you know what would rip right here? First off, like, more items. I don't mean to be rude, but we do have 6 luck. It's kind of like to be expected that you might be able to get a couple of extra items on the chests. And I'm not talking about the lard, because really, like, lard we kind of deserved. I mean, we deserve is a heavy word, you know. We got it by killing the mini boss in the correct order. People don't like the word deserved. It's a little bit too similar to entitled, I suppose. I'm telling you, this Bomber Boy 99 Bombs Gambit that we pulled here, who needs the Queen's Gambit? This is the Eggs Gambit. Dude, now you got me on that lunch train. Lunch is like, it's an invasive thought, man. Once lunch enters your brain, it's impossible to dislodge it. So many different... Oh, dude. Just trying to think of what I want. So many different flavors would hit the spot right now. Love the crunch. Oh. We're talking about textural qualities. Crunch has got to be one of the best. Crisp is pretty good too. Like, what's the difference between crunchy and crispy? I don't know. Crunchy is like, it's kind of dry, but in a good way, like a Dorito, right? But then crispy is like, ooh, it's got, instead of being crunchy, which is kind of like thick, crispy is kind of like It's crunchy but thin. Like, all Crispies are crunchy, not all Crunchies are crispy. Like, a crunchy thing kind of goes like, and a crispy thing goes like, it's kind of like that. But don't even ask me to explain what tangy is. Like, I don't know what, like, or zesty. Zesty is like herby meets mayonnaise, something like that. Tangy is like a mayonnaise plus sour. I don't know. It's like sour umami. So there's a lot of, there's like primary flavors and then there's secondary flavors, much like primary colors and secondary colors. All secondary flavors are a combination of primary flavors. Oh no, baby. I know, like, this is actually, I apologize. This is taking a lot longer than I thought it would. I know, but look at, baby, like, it's not my fault. Look at the size of this freaking floor. Oh my god. I've hit 17 dead ends. This floor was like, is designed by Mark Z. Danielewski. Like, I don't expect you to get that reference for a couple of years at least, but like, it's one heck of a layout. It's quite imposing. I know, baby, I know. Do you want a protein bar real quick while I'm joking. Hey, there we go. Hey, nice Mark Z. Danielewski reference, NL, House of Leaves. We love it. They love the House of Leaves. No, now you, baby. You can't read it yet. For many reasons. Even if you could read, I probably would hesitate to, you know, let a 3-month-old read it. I don't even know what I would let a 3-month-old read. You could read Hop on Pop. Like, honestly, that book is like a university level. There's you gotta be a pretty good reader to read Hop on Pop. This is a bop. He likes to hop. Bop likes to hop on a lop. By the way, this is a lop. Would you like to be a lop that Hop bops on? Oh, she loves it. For now, thanks for watching. Just a reminder, I am live every day but Saturday, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific time. Twitch.tv/Northernlion. Would love to see you over there. Even if I'm not live now, you could give me a follow and then you'll know when I go live. Great second monitor work from home fuel. For now, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. See ya!